In this video, let me show you how you can quickly create a dependent drop-down in Excel using the indirect function. So what do we mean with cascading or dependent drop-down lists in Excel? For example, if you're doing data entry and you'd like to limit users in a way that anytime they select a continent, let's say for example Africa, so in the next cell, the drop-down items that should show up are only countries from Africa. And if a user selected the continent in the first column as Europe, then in the next cell where they have input a value, the available drop-down list should be only countries from Europe. For example, in my first row, you can see Africa as a continent is selected. So when I come to this cell and I try to choose from the drop-down, only countries from Africa will show up. And in the second row, you can see Europe is selected. So when I come over to column E, I should only have countries from Europe. So how do we create this dependent or cascading drop-down list using the indirect function? This is what I'm going to show you, and let us start right now. So the first thing that you have to do is to create a named range for each independent list. So I'll go ahead and highlight all my countries in Africa, come over to the name box and call this one Africa. I hit enter key on the keyboard. Then I also highlight countries from Europe, come over to the name box and call this one Europe, hit enter key on the keyboard. Then when it comes to this column, this is where my users are going to input information. I highlight these cells, press Alt DL on my keyboard, and the data validation dialog box will pop up, and I will say list, and then I will type my two continents, Africa and Europe. One key thing that you have to keep in mind is you have to make sure that the names that you give to your named ranges must be the same that you come and input on your source or the available list in the first column. I'll hit OK, and there you go. So in our first column, we have two options, Africa and Europe. So after you've done that, you'll highlight your second column and then press Alt DL on your keyboard. The data validation dialog box will open. Then you come over and say, I want a list. And in the source, this is where you write your indirect function. You'll say equals indirect, open brackets. Select your first cell in your data entry area. I'll select, for example, D3, and then I can press F4 key on the keyboard. Make sure I make this reference relative, because by default it comes when it's absolute. Close brackets, press OK. And there you go. So like you can see, Africa is selected in cell D3. When I come over to cell E3 and I try to click in the drop down, it's only countries from Africa that are available for me. So I can pick one of them. When Europe is selected and I come over to cell E4, for example, it will be only countries from Europe that will be available for me. I can pick one of them. So that's how simple you can create a dependent drop-down list in Excel without writing any VBA code, just using the indirect function. Thank you for watching. If you found this video valuable, please comment, like, and share. See you in the next video.